I'm here to talk to you about my experience having a speech impediment. Have you ever struggled with your speech or have it pointed out to you? Well, I have. I grew up in a large family of 7, me being the middle child, having 3 sisters who would end every argument with, "Nobody loves you," or "You have no friends." When I was told something so many times, I began to believe it to be true, and it shut me up right away because I didn't know how to respond. So when talking to new people, I always had this thought in the back of my head, leading me to struggle with my confidence, causing me to stutter and become nervous and anxious, leading the mispronunciation of my words. It was a Monday afternoon during school. I saw my mother walking across the yard. She was supposed to be in work, I thought to myself. I went home that day and I was sat down on the couch in the living room, and she told me that she had a meeting with my principal that day. It was decided that he decided, alongside my teacher, that I should be sent to a school which would cater better for my speech impediment. My mother knew I could talk. I talked perfectly fine to her at home because I knew she loved me and she wasn't a stranger. So she didn't accept this decision and explained to my principal that I can talk perfectly fine. My mother convinced the principal that I could talk, but the principal insisted that I needed a letter from a speech therapist verifying that I could talk properly. So that Saturday, I began speech therapy. Usually when you think of speech therapy, what comes to mind is a person pointing out your faults and consistently correcting you. And that's what I thought it would be. But it was completely the opposite experience. The Saturdays would be my favorite time of the week. I would get to spend time with my mother, going up and down in the car, playing in the gift shop that they had, playing with my favorite toy, a disco bouncy ball, bouncing it as high as I can, attempting to catch it, playing fun activities to improve my speech with the speech therapist. I distinctly remember how kind and patient she was with me. Although after each session, I would play in the sensory room, in the ball pit, on the monkey bars, down the slides, messing around with the yoga balls, playing catch with my mother, and on the way out, playing with the bouncy ball again. While I was attending speech therapy, I was becoming more confident about my speech, but I was actually being bullied first. I would be called a freak, annoying, a joke, a weirdo. I felt intolerable. I thought nobody cared. I cared for what I had to say. I distinctly remember walking home from school, heading into my estate. Erin ran up to me with a friend of hers. "Can you say dolphin? Can you say this? Can you say that?" I ignored them and kept walking, but they kept insisting. It was easier to just say the word than having them follow me home. So I said the word and I went home, and they left me alone. I didn't mention it to my parents because they were spending so much time and effort and money on improving my speech. I didn't want to burden them with knowing I was being bullied. Most days I would wake up happy and talkative, but it would only take one person to point out my speech and ruin my day. I would go silent and isolate myself from others, as I couldn't handle my speech being pointed out to me once more. I had no control over it at that age. I could never even pronounce my own name. And I couldn't even pronounce my sister's name either. We were waiting for my father to pick me up from school, and my sister's friends were there beside her. Well, not really her friends, this girl's in her class. And I said to her, I called her name. I said Noah, but her name was Laura. And the girls overheard me saying this. The girls from my sister's class got the name to catch on. My sister was being bullied because of me, and consistently snapped at me whenever I called her name. She overlooked me, ignored me, pretended I wasn't there, that I wasn't related to her. 6 months went by. My mother finally received a document verifying I could speak, and instantly handed it to my principal. And I continued to stay in the school. I continued speech therapy for a further 2 years to enhance my speech. I no longer wanted to stay in my school. I no longer wanted to stay at my school. I wanted to meet new people who didn't remember me as a freak, who couldn't talk. I wanted a fresh start, but at this stage, they said, you only have 2 years left. That turned into, you only have 1 year left. And I believed, and before I knew it, I was in secondary school. All the students in the nearby towns attended. So I got to meet loads of new people and forgot about the ones who bullied me. But that didn't last for long. I remember I was getting my lunch from the canteen, and my group of friends were sitting at the lunch table, and the bullies ran over to them. I don't know what they said, but since then, something was just really off. They didn't really care what I had to say. It was like I didn't fit in the group anymore, like I once did before. And my best friend moved school, and I had no one to talk to. I thought I could never escape the past. I floated through secondary school, the junior cycle, and skipped TY, which is just a year of high school for you. Which is high school, where students obtained work experience and go on trips, just a bit of a DOS. I no longer fitted in. So I made new friends in 5th year, but history repeated itself, and I no longer fitted in with them. And I had the same experience, and I felt like I was put back in my box. Whenever I spoke, I would be told to shut up, when did I ask, or be ignored. When I picked up on this, these words were said, the words that were said, I would stop talking instantly, go silent. I felt like nobody understood me. Even though my speech improved, I still always had the thoughts in the back of my head, nobody loves you, you have no friends, and now, who asked? So when my little brother was born, I decided from day one to tell him every day, I love you. And now he is turning 11. I haven't missed a day so far, apart from this trip. So when I left, I said to him that I love you 15 times, because that's how long I'll be here. And then I went on to, in 6th year, I went on, which would be the seniors for you. I went on and signed up for prefect, meta leader, which is the big brother system, I believe, because I wanted to make a difference in my school, and be that person who I wish was there for me. So I got all these roles, and And I really did push myself to try to get outside my comfort zones, to talk up, be the first one when they asked, oh, who could do a speech about what prefect is, what metal is. I put my hand up right away because I wanted to improve my speech. And if it wasn't for my mother's determination and her willingness to fight for me, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you today. I would have been sent to the special school for people who would, for the school that would cater better to my needs. But no, my teacher, she told me about this, and I signed up right away. And I knew what it was, I knew what I was getting into, and that's why I signed up, to improve my speech furthermore. And I just want to say a big thank you to my mother, and that's my speech.